Do you ever wonder, why does God allow so much suffering in the world? Why is there so much evil in the world? I often talk to people that are like, I don't know why God let me lose my children. And I'm like, do you think it might have something to do with your drug addictions and your criminal history? And they're like, no, God took my kids away from me. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's 100% true, or if maybe your bad decisions took your children away from you. I also hear people like, God made me lose my car. I'm like, I feel like you were driving drunk and you ran into a pole. Like, I don't think God did. I think that's your bad decision. I think a lot of times, we question God and we raise our fist to the sky and we're like, how could you let these bad things happen in the world? And he looks down at us and he goes, I know, right? How could you guys do these bad things? Every bad thing is a direct result of you not listening to me, of you not obeying me. So yeah, there's consequences, which I warned you about ahead of time. Now look, one of the big problems with sin is that innocent people pay for what guilty people have done. It's part of what's so horrible about sin. But oftentimes we blame God for what we did in direct disobedience to what God told us to do. So I think not enough people talk about obedience to God. They're like, oh, we want to talk about the love of God. We want to talk about the forgiveness of God, but we don't want to talk about obeying God. In the Great Commission, Jesus says, go into all the world, baptizing them and teaching them to obey all that I've commanded. We completely leave that part out, teaching them to obey all that I've commanded. And, in the Bible it says to obey is better than sacrifice. I think lots of people are like, well, look what I did for God. I did this wonderful thing and this one, I volunteer my time and I give this much money. And you're like, first off, it's very off-putting to go telling everybody that. And the Bible says that if you do that, you have your reward in full. There will be nothing later. You got your reward. Your reward was you got the praise of men. Congratulations. But he's like, what I want you to do, rather than saying, look at all this list of things that I have done, I want you to just obey me. I deal with this often as a boss and an owner. I'm like, hey, I need you guys to do this while I'm gone. It's important. And I come back and they go, well, we didn't do any of that. I'm like, what do you mean? I go, well, we thought this was cooler, so we did this. And I'm like, but I asked you to do the other thing. And like, yeah, I know, but we had a bunch of meetings about it and we decided we're not going to do that. We're going to do this other thing that we think is cooler. And I feel like, just imagine this, okay? Just imagine that God left and isn't watching us this whole time. Now, that's not true, but let's just say that he isn't watching. He left, Jesus left, and he comes back 2,000 years later, and he goes, oh, let's see what they did. I taught them how to love. I taught them how to heal. I taught them how to be kind to one another. I told them to love each other and to love God and to obey these commands. That's what I told them to do. Let's see how they did. Do you think, upon first glance, he'd be like, they've obeyed. Everything I asked them to do, they did it. Or do you think he would be shocked and appalled, like, you did what? And then blaming him for what we did. Just throwing it out there. To obey is better than sacrifice. So all the things that we talk about and all the things we go, oh, do you know what all I do? That's cute. Are you obeying God? Love you guys.